Good morning, bro. What I'm gonna do this morning is I want to give you a little bit of stick stuff, some stuff to think about, man. You know, I know you've got your own way of working your sticks, but going through this chi thing, you know, the octagon, the 8, you know, it makes total sense. You know what I mean? That's been the Chinese symbol forever. And really, that's the universal angles of attack and defense. We all know that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you something. Now, actually, I do this. Work them off the clock when you think about working off a universal clock, but actually doing them off the 8 makes a lot of sense too. Okay, so just some basic stick information. If you know this already, disregard. If you don't, hey, it's good for you. So stick has pretty much 3 places it's used: the tip, the shaft, and the puño or the pommel, right? Now the way I like to teach people how to grab this thing is think about playing baseball when we were kids, right? We did this kind of crap. Okay, I'll grab one handful, very tip at the bottom, grab another hand, and that gives me a little bit of puño. All right, now you adjust this puño based on where you want to be. You can have a little bit, you can have a lot. Okay, the more you have, the more you have the possibilities of being disarmed because you got too much hanging out. Okay, and if you don't have any at all, then you have no striking surface down here, so it doesn't make any sense. You have no ability to grab with it, you know, to use that hook as a grip. All right, so you down here, you got the pommel. The shaft is great. That's usually where you're spending most of your time blocking. That's where your defenses are. Really not a lot of power inside of that unless you're doing power shoves with it, and then it's pretty wicked, right? And the tip down here is more for where you want to strike. You want to strike with this last portion down here. That's where the power is. Think about out at the lake, and you got somebody water skiing behind you or pulling on a tube. You know, as you get to whipping around, that tube is going around you. It seems like it's going the same speed as the boat is, but it's going much, much faster, right? Same thing here. If I strike something with this shaft, if I hit that box with the shaft, fucking light. If I was hitting a box and I hit a box with this tip, I'm going to rip it wide open. If I hit it with the shaft, I'm going to put a little dent in it, you know, and you get the concept, you get the idea. Hitting Bob with the shaft or hitting Bob the tip is a whole different party. All right. So now we're going to talk about the types of strikes. There's really 3 types if you're thinking about just striking. You have a controlled strike, which is more or less when we're teaching, right? I demonstrate the strike here, I demonstrate the strike here, and so on. Then you get into the tactical strikes. You got the hit and retract, and you got your follow through. Hit and retract is kind of like a jab, right? And I think about this guy as the overhand right, the follow through, right? So we have controlled, hit and retract, and a follow through. All right, and that can be done against any of the angles we're going to talk about today. Now, if I'm looking at it from the octagon perspective, now you're going to have to go ahead and make sure that you're working the stance or you're not going to crack yourself in the knee. But this overhead strike is really simply done just following through. All right, just let that circle kind of die down here, let it follow through. Now, I kind of like riding behind the stick. I always got a shield there. It's good origination point, that type of thing. Put it wherever you want to. A lot of people like to dance around here, but it's like anything else. If I was boxing with my hands out here, you know, that doesn't make a lot of sense either. If I've got a nice tight guard, I can fire out of that nice tight guard. Got a nice tight guard, I can fire out of that guard and I can defend from it too. You know, so that's again going to be a personal perspective. Everybody does what they want to do. So thinking at it from the octagon, let's think about on the top angle. So I could do a controlled, a hit and retract, or a follow through. Okay, coming off from this angle over here, I got a controlled, hit and retract, or a follow through. Okay, coming off to the 3 o'clock position, I got a controlled, a hit and retract, and a follow through. Coming up from this angle, I got a controlled, a hit and retract, a controlled, a hit and retract, or a follow through. All right, coming up this direction, you'll see a lot of people, especially in the Filipino martial arts, that want to preach the blade culture, talking about always having to come up this direction. I think that's important, same as we do with our hammer fist, but I think this is actually better, and it served me better in sparring situations. I've been able to pick off a lot of hand strikes, just coming around, bang, just come up and picking that hand. I've been able to come up underneath the chin on a lot of folks and rip them with this. I got to remember what I'm carrying. Okay, if I'm fighting with a stick, I'm stick fighting. Okay, I'm not cutting you with this thing. I'm knocking the shit out of you with it. So when I'm coming in overhead here, I'm not thinking about cutting you in half. I'm thinking about busting your skull, all right? When I'm coming up from under here, I'm not thinking about cutting your hand. I'm thinking about knocking the shit out of whatever I'm hitting. So if I'm hitting a hand, I'm disarming you, doing a weapon-based disarm, whatever, that's the idea, right? I mean, we know this stuff, you know, I mean, everybody sits and preaches, the blade. I'll deal with that when I'm dealing with a blade. Deal with a fucking stick, right? So I like to come up with it. So coming from this 6 o'clock direction, I like to rip up. And then going from the 7:30 or the next angle on the octagon, coming up that direction. So you can come up controlled, hit and retract, follow through. Controlled, hit and retract, follow through. Come off from here, controlled, hit and retract, follow through. Controlled, hit and retract, follow through. Alright? So coming down through them a little bit, I'm just going to do the follow through strikes. You can think about them on the octagon, think about them 1 through 8. Top one being 12 o'clock being the 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that's one way to look at it, or you could look at it from the clock perspective. 12 o'clock, 1:33, 4:36, 7:39, 10:30. Any way you want to do it, okay? Then when we start going into it, we want to start thinking about the doubles, right? So if I want to think about the overhead, I'm going to come with the overhead, so basically a 12 and a 6, or the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 and a 5, right? Coming up, so I can come down with my strike, up with my strike, so I can start doubling up. If I want to come down from this angle, I can double up. I come over here, I can double up. I come from here, I can double up. I come from here, double up, double up, double up, double up. All right. Then if I want to start putting flows together, I can start thinking about combination patterns, right? So now I'm going to start using some terms that we use. The ocho ocho is a figure 8. So if I want to come down and catch these 2 top corners, I can work on the ocho ocho in a downward fashion, right? I want to work across the horizontal angles. I got what I call the wrong pita. Or I'm sorry, they call this the Bondi Ymonda, which is back and forth. And now we do the wrong pita, the up and down. Okay, and then we come back up here. Same thing. Got the upward ocho ocho. And come back over here, you got the Bondi again going the other way. And then coming back here, you get the ocho ocho starting on the back end. At 12 o'clock is the wrong pita again. So between the ocho ocho, the wrong pita, and the Bondi, you got them all. Okay, if I want to do wrong pita from the top down. Okay, if I want to do Bondi starting with the forehand. I want to do the Bondi with the forehand. Upward ocho ocho with the forehand. Okay, now coming from bottom to top with the wrong pita. Now coming with the backhand, upward ocho ocho. Okay, now backhand Bondi. And backhand downward ocho ocho. Okay, and I give you some ways to flow it. Now if you wanted to kind of work this in a flow pattern, you could think about, you know, just doing a 1, angle 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all right? Or you can think about coming down 1 to 5, you know, and coming down with these 2 angles. Or you can think about catching the top and the bottom.
Shop your Central Texas Honda dealers today. CentralTexasHondaDealers.com.
Alright, so that gives you some ideas on what to do. Again, with the octagon, it's perfect for blocking. I want to come up and cover the upward, outward, and I can come up a little bit in this direction, but really this is going to cover everything that goes around this whole area. Okay, so I got my upward, my outward. Okay, now I can work on it coming from a downward direction. Alright, blocking over here. I can come up this direction if I want to and cover it, or I could use this guy to cover the whole thing too. So simple blocking, being upward, this would cover that whole top angle. This one could cover that whole bottom angle, and this guy covers the top again. Very simple. The only reason you do tip down blockings in the first place is if your stick happens to be there. If I come in, if I want to start working the roof block and all that kind of stuff, it makes no sense to be here, go down to a roof and come up. Okay, unless I'm jamming with it, going Dog Brother style or something. The only time I'm going to do a roof block is if I swung at you, I missed you, now you're coming in, so I'm originating from this low position. If I've got my stick up, I'm blocking. Okay, I'm not going to go, I'm going to come over here and cover and then keep from getting hit with that thing. I'm not going to drop my tip to come down. It'd be the same thing as if I was coming to strike here, I'm going to bring it up to raise here. I wouldn't do that. I would come up from the bottom. So you're going to have tip up blocks, tip down blocks. It's going to depend on where your stick is. Point of origin is common sense. All these people get wrapped up in their systems or their fucking arcs. Okay, they don't think about combat. You know, it matters. Where my stick is where I go from. Point of origin, common sense. If I'm here, point of origin. If I'm here, point of origin. I'm not going to go from here and decide I have to drop my stick to block. That's stupid as hell. I'm not going to be down here thinking about I have to bring this back up, because as I'm bringing it back up, I'm getting clipped. All right. If I'm sitting this direction, I just block up. So that'll cover it for today. Getting tired of the light going out, and I think you got enough. Anyway, you know, do this whatever you want with it, man. If it makes sense, absorb it. You know, we'll call it the Bone Daddy method of stick fighting. I got a whole lot of ways that I do stuff different from the variety of knuckleheads that I've trained with. That I've, you know, just modified it into common sense. It's a good thing about hockey, it's always been common sense. You know, they gave me that reality filter a long, long time ago, as we did in Kaiju Kembo. If it worked, it worked. If it didn't work, fuck it, right? So that's it, brother. Have a good one.